Evening breeze, spirit song, sings to me when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea.
Evening breeze, spirit song,
Evening breeze, spirit song, sings to me when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. Evening breeze, spirit song, sings to me when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to First Parish, Unitarian Universalist, Canton, on this very beautiful November morning. Judging by everyone here, you remember to turn your clock back, which is great. Unfortunately, my dog does not have that same capacity and woke me up an hour earlier than I wanted to, but I am here. My name is John Donovan, and I will be your worship associate this morning. I'm joined this morning by our minister, Reverend Dr. Clyde Grubbs, and our ministerial intern, Elizabeth Foster. First Parish Unitarian Universalist Canton honors diversity and joyfully welcomes all who share the values and principles of our congregation. As a member of our Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, we are guided by the following principles. We believe in the freedom of religious expression. We believe in the toleration of religious ideas. We believe in the authority of reason and conscience. We believe in the never-ending search for truth. We believe in the unity of experience. We believe in the worth and dignity of each human being. And finally, we believe in the ethical application of religion. We hope you find your time with us meaningful.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Our chalice lighting and invocation this morning was written by Sherry Woodbury. Welcome who come here in friendship, who long for genuine community. May you be graciously received here as your authentic self. Welcome who come in curiosity full of questions or simply open. May you embrace wonders and encounter new delights. Welcome who come heavy with fatigue, weary from the troubles of the world or the troubles of your particular life. May you rest and be filled in this sacred space. Welcome who come with joy for flowing rivers and gentle breeze, for changing skies and great trees. May the grace of the world leave a lasting imprint on you. Welcome who come with thanks for the altruism of the earth and the gift of human care. May your grateful heart overflow and bless those around you. Come, let us light our chalice as we celebrate together this wondrous life. And now I invite you to read along with me our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. Dwell together in peace with respect and understanding, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve our fellows and humankind, to the end that all souls shall grow together in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each other and with our God, by whatsoever name we worship.
The story is by Mark Gellman, and we're presenting it on this, the warmest day, the warmest November 6th, in recorded history.
Long ago, all the people lived in one place called Babel. Not only did every person live in the same place, but every person spoke the same language, all of which made life very easy. Getting the news was easy, but you didn't have to learn a new language in high school.
But Ariana's question changed all of that. Irina asked, Mommy, I have a big toe, and you have a big toe, and Daddy has a big toe. Does God have a big toe too?
Now, everything might have been all right if Irina's mother had just said, Irina, God is not a person. God is special and invisible and wonderful, and God is the creator of the universe. God has made each of us in God's image. But God is not a person, and that is why God does not have a big toe. But Irina's mother was busy with something and said, Go ask your father.
She did, but Irina's father was also busy with something, and he told her, Go ask your grandpa. So she did. But Grandpa was in his garden digging up weeds with his pal Fred, who worked in the king's palace. Irina asked, Grandpa, I have a big toe, and Mommy has a big toe, and Daddy has a big toe, and you have a big toe, and Fred has a big toe. Does God have a big toe too? Now,
Irina's grandpa was old and a little hard of hearing, and he said, Does God have a big hoe? I don't know if God has a big hoe. I suppose if God has a garden, then God must have a hoe. After all, you can't get rid of weeds without a hoe. Fred whispered to Irina that he would ask the king the next day at work.
The king thought and thought and thought, and then issued a proclamation. You, the people of Babel, will build a tower high into the sky, so that I, your king, can stand on top of the tower and look at God's foot. Then I will tell you whether God has a big toe. The king ordered the builders to use only the best bricks and the best tar and stick them all together. And the Tower of Babel grew higher and higher and higher every day.
Now God knew that if everybody was working on the tower, then nobody would work in the fields growing things. Nobody would be in the shops making things. God knew that soon all the bricks and tar in Babel would be used up, and the people of Babel had nothing to build houses. God thought about just knocking down the tower, but God knew for sure that the Babylonians would just build it up again to see if God had a big toe. There was only one thing to do.
The next day, when Adriana came to watch the work at the tower, she heard Fred ask his friend for a brick, and his friend answered, Ma ata bratska. And then he turned to a guy with tar who said, Agrato? And asked a guy with a shovel who said, Como esta? And looked at a fellow with a wheelbarrow who said, Gesundheit.
soon bricks and tar were flying everywhere, and by the end of the day, people who spoke the same language were heading out of town together. Irina and her family decided to leave town too, with Fred, Grandpa, and a few other people they could still understand. They packed up everything they owned and left Babel. On the cart, Irina was quiet for a while, and then she asked, Mommy, I have a belly button, and you have a belly button, and Daddy has a belly button. Does God have a belly button too?
So there.
This is the time in our service when we lift up the generosity of all of you, members and friends and visitors. We need your pledges and gifts to keep our doors open and our programs vibrant. For those of you participating remotely, you may contribute via PayPal or mail your contribution to the church. There will be more details in the Zoom chat. As a reminder, our Faith in Action collection this month is for the Waltham House, a program of the Home for Little Wanderers. Waltham House is the first residential group home in New England designed specifically for LGBTQ plus youth and was among the first of its kind in the nation when it opened in 2002. Its founding principles are that every child deserves to live in an environment in which they feel safe, respected, supported, and cared for by those around them. There are faith and action envelopes in your pew if you wish to contribute. Overall, we're very grateful for your gifts, and we thank you.
This is the time in our service where we hold aside space for prayer and contemplation. And what I'll ask you to contemplate is what we don't know. Unlike Arena in our story, which maybe suggests that we don't have to know everything all the time. And what I was thinking about this morning is that our flame is often referred to as the light of knowledge or the light of truth, but Reverend Amy Carroll Webb has a different understanding of it, and I'm going to read her prayer that she has written with a different interpretation of our chalice flame, and then we will spend some time in silent meditation and contemplation of the chalice of the things that we don't know, and perhaps the things that can remain mysterious to us. So, we lit our flame this morning for the art of sacred unknowing. Humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time, we come into the presence of what we do not know, perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever, the only answer to everything and everyone in every moment. And we will now hold some space for silent meditation and prayer so that you can pray whatever is on your hearts this morning.
I remember 3 decades ago, it was 3 decades ago, and I was in school and I was finishing up some writing, and it was a warm August evening with a breeze, an evening to sit outdoors and take it all in. Sitting on that bench was a joy. Even though I had the work to do, I had to go into the library and do that work. Sitting on that bench was a joy. The Gothic clock of Boston College's old library rose 50 yards from my bench. And every 15 minutes, its chimes broke into my thoughts, asking me if I wanted to get into that library, do that work, that paper will wait, you got to finish it, you got to get going. But sometimes it's good just to sit and watch. Great thoughts come on benches just like this one. So I sat and I watched. A young man and a young woman, both students, sat on a bench across the quad, deep in conversation, and they seemed to enjoy their sharing. The chimes rang, 5 quarter hours, and they kept talking, recreating themselves in conversation. Then a little girl and her mother came walking down the quad. The little girl was skipping and engaged in the moment, and her mother was totally supportive of her daughter's play and enjoying the skipping and the singing. The little girl said to her mother, Let's play Adam and Eve. Her mother, enjoying her daughter, said, "Okay, do you want to play Eve?" The little girl skipped and swirled and said, "No, you play Eve." The mother was a little puzzled, then said with some amusement, "Do you want to play Adam?" "No." The little girl smiled. "No, you play Adam." The mother, abetting her daughter's creativity, asked, "Do you want to play the serpent?" "No." Her daughter thought. "No," shook her head. "No, you play the serpent." The woman stopped and leaned over the little girl and said, "You want me to play all the characters? There's no one left for you to play." And the little girl stood looking up at her mother, elbows bending, hands on her hips, and said, "Oh, yes, there is. Oh, yes, there is a character left to play." And only children seemed audacious and open enough to play that part. You see, the little girl wanted to play God. If you recall the story, there are 4 characters: Adam, Eve, the serpent, and God. God is the one that walks in the garden in the cool of the evening. When I last saw them, the mother was sort of scolding the little girl about why it wasn't proper to play God. It shocked the mother's religious sensibilities. And I related this incident to a friend, and she asked me, "You aren't advocating that people play God, are you? Don't you think some of the horrors of the last 100 years stem from people playing God? Playing God." Now, I have to admit, that's something to think about. Playing God. Playing God. But I'm drawn to the little girl's audacity, and somehow I think she would play a good God, a loving God, a fun God. Her God would bring joy and creativity into our world, and she wouldn't be too strict on Eve or Adam. Fondness for forbidden fruits she would understand. But the contemporary political leaders, whose power is the power of life and death, the scientists who bring forth mad toys, the racism makers, the abusers of the environment. In other words, people within power, people with power and positions of authority who use their power for selfish ends, we condemn them by saying they are playing God. Playing God in this sense means having arbitrary and unlimited power. They aren't playing a very nice God. They're playing a short-sighted, narrow, unloving God. They're playing a God who brings misery and destruction into our world. The little girl in our story was having fun, engaging her creative imagination. And isn't that what playing is all about? Playing with ideas, playing out different roles, using our creative imagination. That is play. And maybe, just maybe, those who abuse power aren't playing at all. Aren't playing, they're deadly serious. They're not playing God. They're deadly serious. So I would like to suggest the playfulness of this little girl can teach us much about what we would like to call spirituality. Spirituality. You've heard this term. It's in our hymnal, spirituality. In India, the entire universe is considered to be Leela. That is the play of God. In that worldview, God is enjoying God's self by bringing worlds into existence. And for the Hindu, that act of creation is not serious, is not meant to signify something very permanent. The universe isn't created for some grand moral purpose. If you said that the creative activity of the universe was done just for the play of it, it's signified by a dance. In other words, the universe exists simply for the exuberant expression of one's own potential. The flowers exist to celebrate themselves. The rivers exist because they flow. Flow is inherent in being a river. It is gravity, not for some cosmic intention. Similarly, children play to enjoy themselves, while adults often play to get exercise, reduce stress, lose weight, meet friends, influence people. In other words, too many adults lose the ability to play for itself. According to several good sources, Rabbi Jesus once said, "We should become like little children if we are enter into the power of the holy." And people have been wondering ever since what he could have meant by that. Traditional Christians like to think that Jesus was recommending becoming gullible, innocent, meek, obedient. But that doesn't sound like Jesus to me. As a matter of fact, it doesn't sound like children. I think that Jesus was recommending that his listeners learn to play, learn to engage for fun of it, needed to learn their creative imaginations, needed to be more in touch with their spontaneity, needed to learn to enjoy themselves for joy's own sake instead of some lofty purpose beyond joy. Unitarian Universalists have come to call our religious services celebrations. Welcome to our celebration. We celebrate life and the gifts of our existence. We celebrate our community and the principles that we affirm. We call our services celebrations, and I think that's a profound statement. It captures our Unitarian Universalist way of being in the world. At our memorial service, we try to celebrate the life of the deceased and celebrate the meaning of living, knowing we must die. At our wedding celebrations, we seek to bless the partnership of two people. Neither the state nor the church makes the union holy. Only the two people's commitment can do that. Our purpose is to celebrate their wedding, not to establish it. Similarly, with other rituals and services, in our Unitarian Universalist community, in all our cases, we are celebrating, and it is good to elicit an element of playfulness. We can be moved to the depths of our beings and still play. Think of it also of the artist who struggles with creation. The work of creation of a book, of a chapter in a book, of a poem, of a painting, of a composition of music, it's not fun play, but it's still play. And soon, if the work is not creative and enjoyable and still, and the artist is not excited, engaged. Many artists report they don't feel creative if it becomes drudgery. And soon creative blocks result. Psychologists studying creative workers in many fields report that it is the most intense creative work these people find the deepest joy. And these same psychologists tell us that creative workers are much happier than couch potatoes, and much happier than for people whose life is one long party. Thus, we're confronted with a paradox. Playfulness, enjoyment, not taking it all too seriously, is an essential characteristic of realizing our full human potential. We can come to know the experience of transcendence, of moments of creativity in which we let go and let it flow. And we know the depths of being in moments of exuberance, in moments of engaged awareness. We don't seem to find joy in the pursuit of pleasure itself. Too much entertainment, too much fun, and pleasant divisions, and we get bored. Grown-up playboys and playgirls are pitied, for they don't seem to know the pleasure of creative activity, of relationship, of community, of creating power in the work of creation. Yes, I think we find depth and meaning in playful engagement, in creative encounter with both joy and sorrows of life. We're called to play with our divine possibilities, and we're called to know our capacity for joy and creative endeavor. Playfulness is indeed next to godliness, and that play is not for all fun and games. There is pain and hurt and disappointment. Yes, we need to cultivate our playfulness, our creativity, and also not be content, a sense of transitoriness or impermanence. My friends, we live in a universe itself that's playful, that both sustains us in its loving embrace and at the same time a universe that frustrates our plans and will pose all our efforts to be the center of things, to build a Tower of Babel. Let us learn to play with our godliness, with our creative connections, with our joys and sorrows in the universe. Let us cultivate our creative depths. Let us enjoy the spark of the divine within our hearts, letting it flame up sometimes, like that little girl who wanted to play, creator of the earth and sky. Let us sing. Playfully sing, "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing," number 126. and a response. We hear the call and we respond, "Here I am, send me," to give ourselves to the service of others, to enter into the suffering of this world, and to proclaim justice. May the love that overcomes all differences, that heals all wounds, that puts to flight all tears, and reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us as we leave this place. Go in peace. Amen and amen.